Hey, welcome back, everyone. I know you've probably had that moment. You're walking through the parking lot, heading back towards your car, and you see that person. You recognize them. They look like you, but a few chapters ahead. They could be in uniform, could be not, but something about them clicks. You wonder how long they've been in. Are they about to get out? Have they figured it all out? And then it happens. That little voice. Well, what if that's me, but I never changed? Or worse, what if I never even tried? I had a conversation recently with a guy who retired a couple years before I did. Good cop, smart, tactical, respected. He told me that he spent the first year after retirement avoiding everything that didn't feel familiar. He'd look at job listings, he'd just kind of skim through them, and he'd shake his head. Nah, not me. He said he kept telling himself he was waiting for the right role, the one that fit. But what got to me was he really wasn't looking for the right job. I think he was looking for one that wouldn't scare him. And that's the trap. We think that not the right one is a signal to stop, but sometimes that's actually a signal to start. That discomfort might be the indicator you're exactly needing to lean in, not because it feels easy, but because it feels different. The overlooked path, the unfamiliar job, the role you keep dismissing before you've even given it a shot. It's about challenging your own assumptions, especially the ones driven by fear. And it's also about motion, because clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from moving. So with that, let's get into round 79 of the Tactical Transition Tips. This time the topic is, the career you're avoiding might be the one you need. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, embrace the bridge job. Don't overthink the destination. Just take the next step and let the path reveal itself. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, test the waters with a side project. Growth doesn't begin with certainty. It begins with curiosity, action, and a chance on something new. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you've got at least a decade before your transition. Get curious about what you criticize, because what you dismiss without exploring might be the thing that unlocks your resilience when the future change comes calling. Close range group, you're in it. Your transition, it's not just an idea anymore. It's on the calendar. Maybe your last shift's even circled on the calendar. Maybe you're just waiting for that final day and the clock to run out, and civilian life is going to become real. Regardless, you're standing at the edge of something big. You're probably getting a ton of advice right now. Find your purpose. Make sure your next move is meaningful. Don't rush into anything. Sounding familiar? Yes, it makes sense. You want to make the right call. You don't want to stumble out of the gate in civilian life. But what you're probably not hearing is, you don't need to have it all figured out right now. On your own, you might be carrying around the idea that your next job has to be the job, the one that aligns with your skills, your passion, your calling, and your perfect salary range. Well, if you've been looking and haven't found the job that checks every one of those boxes, you might have to let things go. Right now, what you need is forward momentum. Not a final destination, not perfection, just motion. And that's where the bridge job comes in. I know, bridge job sounds like something you take when you're desperate, like it's some sort of throwaway plan B. I couldn't do any better. But that's actually a myth. A bridge job isn't a step backwards. Think of it more as a strategic waypoint. A good bridge job buys you something very valuable. It buys you time to think clearly, space to adjust, and room to experiment. And it does it all without burning through your savings or turning your entire life into a guessing game. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying take just anything. I'm saying reframe what value looks like in this moment. Ask yourself, does this job give me structure while I adjust? Can I develop skills that might apply down the road? Will I meet people outside of my old network? Does it give me breathing room while I figure out my next move? If the answer is yes to even a couple of those, then it's worth considering. That's the point. Sometimes the job you ignore is the one that's waiting to surprise you. But here's what holds most people back: our pride. We tell ourselves we've earned something bigger. We don't want to feel like we're starting over. And I get that. Trust me. But here's the truth. You're not starting over. You're starting differently. You're not a rookie. You're experienced. You're a leader. You've served. You've operated under pressure that most people couldn't fathom. What you're doing now is learning how to transfer all that into a new environment. That takes time. And that's why the bridge job matters. So where should you be looking? Think about industries that survive in uncertainty. Those are going to value how you think, how you solve, how you adapt. Also, virtually every industry needs discipline, leadership, and composure. Do those sound familiar? Now, you might look at some job titles and think, that's just not me. But ask yourself, do I understand systems? Can I manage people? Can I respond to crisis? Can I learn a new platform? You should have said yes to all of them. So then you're not unqualified. You're just underestimating yourself. Sponsorship for this episode comes from Brothers in Arms USA. This is a veteran-owned brand that delivers premium clothing and accessories that are 100% made in America. Every item reflects the values of service, discipline, respect, and honor. It honors those who have given everything. It's gear built for patriots, warriors, and anyone who stands for something. Go check out the show notes for a link to their website and a promo code for 20% off your purchase. So if a job seems like a sideways move or a temporary holdover, good, that's the idea. Think of it as a 1-year deployment with a mission. Gather intel, reintegrate, learn the AOR, do your readiness check, make contact with people who can help you. What's a year? If you love it, great. You've found momentum. If you don't, you've bought yourself clarity. Start looking for the next landing spot. And don't forget this. You're bringing more than just skills. You're bringing identity. Yes, the uniform is gone, but your work ethic, your adaptability, your integrity, that all travels with you. Here's what I want you to do. Take a second and look at the jobs you've been skipping past. The ones that felt, admit it, beneath you. The ones that didn't get you fired up. Maybe even the ones that don't pay what you want. Now ask yourself, what could this job teach me? What doors might this open that I can't see from here? What happens if I say yes and let it shape me? Just for a year. You're not signing a contract for the rest of your life. You're giving yourself, call it a controlled experiment in who you'd be becoming. Let the bridge job be your battlefield lab. Let it teach you what energizes you and what drains you. Let it show you how your past fits into the civilian world and where it doesn't. Let it sharpen your direction, not define your worth. This isn't a surrender. It's a smart move on the chessboard, and smart moves win the long game. Medium range group. You're in that interesting space. Not quite done, but you can feel the end closing in. Enough time that you're still fully in it, but that little whisper in the back of your head is getting louder. What comes next? What you do with these next 5 years will either set you up for a smooth landing or leave you running around like a chicken with your head cut off at the last minute. So here's my suggestion. Start a side project. Notice I didn't specifically say start a business or throw money into some get-rich-quick scheme. I mean, pick something, anything outside your current world that stretches you just a little bit. Something that takes your service experience and puts it in a new context. Something that introduces you to a new language, new systems, new expectations. Could be professional. It could be creative. Could be in your community. But it needs to make you a little uncomfortable. And why, you ask? You've been operating inside a system that defines success a certain way. Rank, time in service, deployments, command roles. The civilian world? Totally different. Now, that doesn't mean you're unqualified. It just means you need exposure. You've got to understand how those outside the uniform measure outcomes, how they define leadership, how they spot value in a resume that doesn't look like theirs. And a side project is how you practice that while you're still knee-deep in this career. Trident Coffee isn't your average brew. Veteran-owned and mission-driven, Trident crafts coffees that taste amazing, hot or cold, without the bitterness. But it's more than great coffee. It's functional fuel for your brain and your body, loaded with MCT oil, lion's mane, and electrolytes. It's all about wellness, connection, and community. Trident Coffee is where passion meets purpose. So cast off the lines and move full steam ahead. Your tribe is waiting. Check out the show notes for the link and a promo code for 20% off your purchase. Also, before we get back into it, in case you forgot, there's a weekly newsletter. It's stacked with tips and information to help you prepare for your transition. You can go to the link in the show notes and sign up. Please, go sign up. Okay, we're back into it. And here's where the project becomes more than just a sandbox. It becomes a mirror. You'll start to see what energizes you and what drains you. You'll realize which skills carry over naturally and which ones need refining. You'll discover how people outside of our systems respond to your leadership, your initiative, your mindset. And that feedback loop, it's invaluable to you. But don't just stop at a personal reflection. Start asking those deeper questions. Look at what metrics matter in the space you're operating in. What problems are they solving? How do they talk about success? Because once you understand how they measure impact, you can start translating your background into their language. And that's the key to making your experience land, not just on a resume, but in an interview or at a networking event. A side project also forces you to own your time differently. Now, I get it. You're swamped. You've got your shifts. There's training. You have family. But we both know if something matters, we find the time and we schedule it. Treat the side project like an operation. Block the time and make it happen. Because the future you want won't build itself. It'll be built on the small decisions you make while you still wear the uniform. There's something else you always need to be thinking. Succession. Who's taking your spot? 5 years? From an organization's perspective, that's a blink of an eye. Starting a side project shows you're planning. It signals that you're thinking ahead. What I want you to do is share what you're doing with the people you lead. You're modeling what long-term vision looks like. You're showing that you're preparing yourself for transition, but you're also preparing others for their promotion up. And that kind of leadership, it's the difference between leaving and being forgotten or leaving and being remembered for how you elevated everyone around you. So here's what I want you to do. Start something. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be intentional. Give yourself an hour a week. Use it to write, read, build, create, volunteer, something, study. Anything that stretches you into the civilian space without pulling you away from your current situation. That hour a week could be the difference between showing up in 5 years with a resume full of just years of service and no story, or showing up with a bridge already built between who you were and who you're becoming. This side project isn't an escape plan. It's a leadership exercise. It's a way to test your foundation before the storm hits. You're not just preparing to leave well, you're preparing to arrive strong. Long range group. You're focused on right now. Rightfully so. You're continuing to learn the job, putting in the work, you're earning the respect of your peers, you're stacking your wins. I hope aiming for a specialty team, a leadership spot. However, just because you're all in right now doesn't mean you shouldn't be paying attention to the horizon. Not because you're looking to bail, not because you need a plan B, but because life doesn't always ask permission to shift. Sometimes the unexpected knocks on the door happen before you thought it would. And if that day ever comes, and I hope it doesn't, you don't want to be caught flat-footed. So here's what I want to offer you. A mindset, a habit, a way to build your resilience without losing your focus on the job today. Get curious about what you criticize. I know that sounds simple. Might be even a little strange. But stay with me on this. You ever hear about a civilian job? Let's say something we'll call outside the norm. And instantly you roll your eyes, kind of like what you're doing right now. Maybe it's something in finance or corporate HR or tech. And your gut just goes, nope, no thank you, not for me. Maybe you think it's soft, boring. It doesn't fit the tempo you're used to. Or maybe it just feels irrelevant, not your world. That instinct, that pushback, that's your clue. Think about this. What we dismiss without understanding is usually tied to something we're afraid of or unfamiliar with. It's not weakness, it's our wiring. We all judge what we don't know, especially when it challenges the identity we've worked so hard to build. But if you want to be ready for anything, if you want career durability, you've got to train your mind like you train your body. And that means staying flexible, open, and curious. So the next time you catch yourself writing something off and just not part of you, ask why. What exactly rubs you the wrong way? Is it because you don't respect the work? Is it because you don't understand it? Is it because it feels like a betrayal of who you are? Because you've never seen someone like you in that space? Getting curious doesn't mean signing up. It doesn't mean abandoning anything about this job. It means you're building cognitive flexibility, the ability to adjust, to reframe, to grow, without falling apart if the mission changes. And here's the thing. This habit helps you lead better today. When you start exploring industries, roles, or systems that are outside your lane, you gain a wider view. You understand how other professionals define leadership. You see what success looks like in other arenas. You start to recognize patterns and principles that carry over. Think of it like cross-training for your mind. It sets you apart from your peers who only ever speak one professional language. It makes you more promotable, more adaptable, more respected. This episode is brought to you by Grind, spelled GRND. Grind isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Started by a former Army Ranger, Grind activewear is for those who wake up hungry, train with intensity, and chase their goals relentlessly. Whether you're on the field, in the gym, or grinding towards your next mission in life, Grind delivers performance gear that keeps up. This is American-made toughness with purpose. So wear what you live. Go check out the show notes for a link to their website and a promo code for 15% off your purchase. All right, back at it. So here's where I want you to start. Start small. Pick one civilian sector you know nothing about. Like I said, tech, admin, HR, logistics, clean energy, construction safety. It doesn't matter what it is. Spend 30 minutes a month learning about it, read about it. Find someone operating in the space on LinkedIn and follow them. Watch a video or listen to a podcast that explains that industry. Don't evaluate, just observe. Let it expand your mental map. And while you're doing that, here's the second layer of this mindset. Start building a second identity so that if life forces you to pivot, you don't lose yourself in the process. And here's something you won't hear from a lot of your command staff. Preparing for your transition isn't disloyal. It's actually a sign of maturity. You're not betraying the job by learning how to navigate the world beyond it. You're honoring it by making sure that when the time comes, you can represent your service well in whatever comes next. That kind of forward thinking keeps you sharp. It gives you energy. It reminds you that you're in control of your development, not just waiting on a promotion board or a specialty slot to define your value. So I leave you with this one challenge. Be excellent today, but don't get so locked into your current role that you forget to widen the lens. Be proud of your uniform and your assignment, but don't forget you're also carrying things no uniform can fully represent. And when you catch yourself brushing off an idea, a career path, or a lifestyle that you don't understand, pause and just get curious. That curiosity is your insurance policy. It's your adaptability. And it might even be the very thing that gives you peace of mind years down the road. You're not too early. You're right on time. So in wrapping up, it's funny how the things we try to avoid tend to stick around, and they make us wonder, what if? You don't have to make any big decisions today, but just know, change has a way of showing up before we feel ready, and when it does, it helps to remember this simple truth. The career you're avoiding might be the one you need. Thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out on either social media or send me an email. All the links are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcast. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings the podcast gets, the more the podcast gets recommended to people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. And last, don't forget, please go sign up for the newsletter.